Hello everybody, it is Carla with Carla's Clever Crafts. I am going live this evening to make this adorable turkey wreath. He says give thanks, and his feathers are shaped or made out of leaves, which I just thought was really adorable. We are going to be doing something a little different than what I typically do tonight with our mesh methods. I'll get to that here in a little bit. To attach my sign, which I usually get it prepped first to give my glue time to dry. I had actually glued on my sign mounts in advance for this sign, but I did want to show you guys that these are what I use. They're called cable mounts. I call them sign mounts because that's what I use them for. And then I attach those using this DAP Rapid Fuse glue. If you've seen my videos before, that is what I always use. It dries, it fully cures within 30 minutes. So that is why I like to use that. And then usually I go ahead and put these on right now and set this to the side and let it dry. We've already got ours ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed my pipe cleaners through my sign to get it ready. I don't have my comments pulled up yet for some reason. It takes a few minutes after I go live before it shows up on my iPad for me to pull it up. So I'll do that in a few minutes. But if you have joined me, please say hi. Let me know that you're here. And if you guys have any questions for me, please put them in the comments and I'll respond as best I can. And I just feed my pipe cleaners through. These little side mounts actually have holes on all four sides, so you can go side to side or top to bottom. I don't think either way really makes a difference, just as long as you do them both the same way, I think would be fine. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using for our main feature on our wreath. We're going to also be using these two 10-inch meshes. This is a metallic orange mesh, and then this one is a metallic cream mesh. This is cream with gold metallic run through it. So those are the two I'm going to be using. I do believe both of these are available on craftoutlet.com or something very similar to them. I actually purchased a bundle on Amazon a while back. And these two meshes were included in that bundle. I had actually gotten 5 bundles and 4 rolls of ribbon. We are actually going to be using those ribbons on this wreath because they just paired. The reason I bought them was because I already had this sign, and the 4 just went so well. I couldn't resist. So we have this adorable turkey ribbon, and then we have this what I would call Thanksgiving sentiment ribbon that says gratitude and turkey and pumpkin and thanks and Thanksgiving and family, friends, all kinds of things that we associate with fall time and with Thanksgiving. Then it also comes with this really nice orange and brown plaid that I thought paired perfectly with our sign, the colors. And then it came with this leaf pattern, which also went well with the leaves and stuff in the turkey. So those are the 4 ribbons we're going to be using. I did purchase all 4 of these ribbons and these meshes in a bundle on Amazon, but I will be honest with you, I have been searching and searching, hoping that bundle becomes available again, and I haven't been able to find it. So if anybody does find it, certainly leave me a comment and let me know. I did purchase a bunch of them when they were available, so I do offer them in my Etsy shop. You can purchase either the sign or the ribbon bundle or a complete wreath kit from my Etsy shop, which I will link in the description once the live is uploaded by YouTube. Usually that takes several hours, so it may be tomorrow before they have that uploaded and ready. Okay. And then the sign I had also got from Amazon, but I purchased it separately. You may still be able to find the sign. I haven't looked for more of the sign, but I did want more of that turkey ribbon. The only ribbon I could find on Amazon was a 5-yard roll for $16, and I mean, it's a cute turkey ribbon, but it wasn't as nice as this one that I have, so I opted not to pay that kind of price for a turkey ribbon. Unfortunately, when I do that, because I sell my wreaths, I have to pass that on to my buyers, and so I use my judgment. And if I think it's too pricey, then I don't want to pass that on to my customers. So I'm not gonna. I just won't do that design. Okay, so when I said we were going to do something different tonight, if you have followed me or watched me for any period of time on YouTube or Facebook, I do the majority of my wreaths are Cruffle method. It is my favorite, and so I have just fallen into a pattern of doing a whole lot of different types of Cruffle wreaths. Tonight I wanted to do, it's still going to have 6 Cruffles in it, just, but I did want to do the Poof method, and I'm going to actually do something that I learned years ago watching YouTube videos, just like you guys are doing, called the crisscross Poof method. Now I have put my own twist on this, of course, and then adding the Cruffles to it is also my own twist. But I'm going to show you completely how to wire the frame. A lot of times I wire my frame in advance, but because I had not done this one before, I wanted to do it with you guys so that this tutorial will be full, and then I can refer people back to this for how to wire the frame. Okay, so we are going to do all of our wiring right where the crossbars are. Okay, so we have 6 crossbars. I have cut some of my pipe cleaners in half. I have left 6 of them whole, and then I have cut, I think it was 6 of them in half, because we just need short pieces in a couple places, and you'll see what I mean as I get further through it. So I'm going to start right here on this crossbar on the inside 2 wires. I'm going to put the pipe cleaner underneath, and then I'm going to come across the bar. Okay, so this will be our first one. And then I always twist my knot towards the inside. Okay, and now we're going to come to these outside 2 rings, and we're going to do the same thing on the outside 2. Okay. And I don't normally cut my pipe cleaners in half because it is hard on your hands. And also I feel like it doesn't hold as securely if you're adding a lot of materials. But in this case, we're only going to be adding mesh here and here. So that is the reason I went ahead and cut them in half. Okay, now you're going to do a third one here, and you're going to do it around the middle 2 bars, and you're going to use, for me, you may want to or prefer to use 6-inch, cut them all in half. I'm going to use a full length pipe cleaner because I'm going to be adding more than one thing here. I'm going to be adding mesh and ribbons. Okay, and so just give that a twist. So basically we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's do that again. I'll do this one, and then I'll see if my comments are ready yet for me to pull up. Okay, so around the 2 inside wires and across the crossbar. Now to the outside 2 wires. And across the crossbar. And then a full length one across those 2 middle rings. Or underneath the 2 middle rings. And then just when you're twisting your pipe cleaners, twist them kind of tight. And I'm leaving these ones stand up, moving this one to the inside, and then the ones on the inside to the inside, and the ones on the outside to the outside. That just makes it easier for me when I go to start adding my materials. All right, I'm going to check on comments real quick. If you are joining me for the first time, I go live every Friday night at 7 p.m. So if you're ever wondering, that is my plan for now, is to be live every Friday night at 7 o'clock. Occasionally, I may do an extra live during the week or something, but my only set schedule is Friday nights. Okay. Looks like I have it pulled up, and several of you watching, but no comments yet, so that's fine. I know a lot of people, and I was one of those people when I was watching tutorials when I was first learning. I never commented. I stayed quiet. Okay, so one more time I'm going to say how I did this, and then we'll just go ahead and finish these up. I'm going to go underneath these two inside rings and across the crossbar. Pull it tight and twist it. Then come to the outside two. Do the same thing. And then I'm going to use a full length one and go underneath the two middle rings. And twist it. Okay, now I'll try to just finish these up quickly. If anybody has any questions or needs me to explain something, just put it in the comments. I'll be happy to. Sometimes I get bored and change things up on my designs, and I've been experimenting a lot lately with how I put in the mesh and using different mesh methods combined and things like that. So that's how we ended up with this design tonight. Is I wanted to do something I hadn't done in a while, and something that I had not done on my channel yet, which I have not done this type of mesh method. So I thought that would be interesting and a little bit fun. And I love this design for fall. I first did a turkey design last year. Even though I've been making wreaths for years, I held off on doing a turkey because, I don't know, I had this assumption, which we know we shouldn't assume, that many people wouldn't buy turkey wreaths because they would consider them only like a limited use item like the week of Thanksgiving. But that I really got proved wrong on that. So many people loved the turkey wreath that I did last year that I sold out of it. So this year I actually have two different turkey designs that I've put into my shop, and I learned a hard lesson, and that is, you know, if you have an idea, just run with it and see if it works, because you can't just assume what people will think or like or want. I'm trying to keep these ends even, but I got this one here kind of off, so I'm gonna try to remeasure this here. Okay, there we go. And then we are on our last pipe cleaner. The last few weeks, my granddaughters were visiting, and sadly they went home last evening. But what that meant for me is I had been doing my crafting on my coffee table, and now I'm back at my craft table, so I'm pretty happy about that. But they were hanging out in my room and watching TV and stuff, and so rather than disturb them, I just let them stay in here, and I would do my crafting and my lives on my coffee table. Okay, so I think I'm going to start with the orange. And actually, I was playing around before I went live to make sure that I remembered what I was doing. And I am going to use this piece of cardboard that I have measured, that I used to measure. Oops. And I know that from the end here to this crease, because I measured it before I came live, is about 12 inches. So what I do to start my poofs, I'm going to unroll this so I can show you, is I take the ends of my mesh and I just start curling in at the sides, and I just keep curling in and curling in until they meet, and then I pinch it together. Okay. And you'll see that that gives us like this little, naturally just gives us like this little poof to start with. Okay, so I am going to start on one of the outside pipe cleaners. And I usually leave a tail of about 1.5 to 2 inches there. And I'm just going to pull this really tight, give it several good twists, And then I'm going to push this down because I'm not going to add anything else into these pipe cleaners, okay? So now I'm going to use this. I want to measure my poofs at about 12 inches. So I want to line up where it's attached to the pipe cleaner. And just keeping these ends folded under so we keep our poof shape. I'm just going to pull it back to my mark, my 12-inch mark. If you have a cutting mat or whatever, you can measure that way. I just have this piece of cardboard and it's just easy for me. Then honestly, my cutting mat is buried upstairs. I need to go dig it out. Okay, so we have our first poof. And I'm going to cross it from the outside to the inside. Okay, so we went from this one to this one with this poof. Okay, I'm going to give it a bunch of twists just like I did that last one. And then push this down. One great thing about the poof method is that it limits how much cutting you do, how many cut ends you have, so naturally it cuts down on fraying. It also goes pretty quick because you spend a lot less time prepping your materials. So again, I'm going to measure from the pipe cleaner I just added to my 12-inch mark, pull that back, and now I'm going to go from the outside or the inside to the outside one. So that's what I mean when I say crisscross poof pattern. We're going to crisscross back and forth. Twist it a bunch of times, push this down and squeeze it. And now I'm just twisting my frame to line up my pipe cleaner at the end here. Measure my next poof. This one's on the outside, so I know I need to come next to the inside. Hi Nora, hi Tiggy. How are you guys this evening? Thank you so much for commenting. It's so much easier when people talk to me instead of just me rambling. Of course, I always have a lot to say when it comes to crafting, so I can always find things to talk about. Okay. Now we're going to do it again. This one was on the inside, so we need to remember we're coming to the outside. And when I get to my point that I'm measuring, I'm just pinching that down together and pushing it down in there. Oh, wait a minute, guys. I'm twisting with the wrong pipe cleaner. I wondered how that end was so long. Well, now I know. I grabbed the wrong one. So make sure you're twisting in the short ones that you added if you did cut them in half like I did. And I'm just folding that down under and then pushing down on that like really hard to make it nice and secure. Okay, I don't know. We're coming near the end of our roll, which, yeah, it looks like we're going to be able to reach with this one. I used the end of this roll. I had another roll here that was longer, but I did this on purpose because I wanted to show you guys if you're making a wreath and you come to, with this design, and you come to the end, I wanted to show you what you could do to keep going. Okay, so let me get this one measured out. Of course, it's going to present a challenge, isn't it? Okay, so nice. This one's on the outside, so next I'm going to come to the inside. Twisting a bunch of times. Hold it down and squeeze it. Okay, now I'm just going to pull this back and cut this off, leaving my tail like what I started with. Okay, now when we run out of mesh and we're still not quite finished, we just finish that off, which I should not have pushed this down in, made a mistake. but it's real simple to pull back up. Okay. Just get your next roll, and we're going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to roll these sides in a little bit at a time until they meet, and then pinch together, leaving an inch. And then we're just going to lay this right on top of this one. I am going to undo the pipe cleaner if I can find the end. There we go. And then lay this right on top of the other piece of mesh. Now we can just twist those both into the same one. And push that down. Okay, now I'm going to take the tail and just push it up underneath this poof and down inside the frame. And I may even, when we get to the end, I may even zip tie that. Okay, we're almost done with this round. We just have one more to do. Remember when you're pulling this back to keep these ends underneath so you get the poof effect. Okay, and then I'm gonna have to open up the one I started with too. That was another mistake I made. It's been a while since I did this, so bear with me, guys. But you're gonna always end in the one you started with, which is what I need to do here, and I closed it up, so I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Not too hard to fix. No mistake that's, you know, we can't either cover up, hide, or fix, right? Okay, and same thing, cut this tail off. We will tuck this up underneath of here and probably zip tie in the end. I'm not going to do that for now though, we'll wait and see. Okay, so now we're going to use the opposite ones. I'm going to actually start right here where I started this one and open this up, and we're going to use our other color of mesh. So we're going to do the same process with our other color of mesh in the opposite pipe cleaners. I hope that makes sense, but I'll show you. Okay, again, I'm just going to try to do this on camera so you guys can see how I curl it in. Let me move the orange out of the way because mesh will snag on each other. Okay, and this is gonna be our starting point. I'm going to remember at my starting point not to fold and push down my pipe cleaner yet, so we don't make the same mistake twice. Okay, measure it. And now I'm gonna kind of move this one in. I want this big pipe cleaner sticking up, and I'm going to come into the small one on the outside. We started on the inside, so we're going to the outside. And this is kind of where we get the crisscross, because now we're using two meshes and they're going to actually be crisscrossing each other. Okay, so measure that one. And now I'm going to pull this orange one down, and I'm going to bring this one that I just made up here to the top. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. Trying to make sure that I stay in the camera angle. And we're going to repeat this all the way around, just like we did with the orange. And then that's going to leave us just this big pipe cleaner. Okay, so now this orange needs to go to the inside. And our cream needs to come out here to the outside. Okay. Now this is pretty quick because you're really not, you know, you're not even making a whole lot of these. So this freestyle goes pretty quick. Okay, now I'm just doing the opposite because I want these to be the opposite of each other. This one's going to the inside, and this piece of orange is to the outside. Okay, now this orange I know will go to the inside. If this is not making sense to any of you guys, please comment and let me know so I can try to make sure I explain it well. Okay, so now the orange goes to the inside and we're bringing our cream color to our outside. Okay, and it looks like we're at our last one. Our orange will go to the outside and we'll bring our last cream over here to where we started. And now hopefully you guys can see why I'm okay with cutting off the pipe cleaners or cutting them in half for this purpose, because we're only putting one piece of material in there, so it doesn't need to be long. Okay, cut that off. And then all these tails I will tuck underneath. And then when I am done, I will look under there and see if I need to zip tie those down. So see, here's two of the tails, here's a tail, and here's a tail. They're honestly laying under there fine. Oh, and here's one. I don't know that I will need to zip tie them down, but if you want to make your wreath more secure, that would be one way to do it, is just come under here and put a zip tie around those. Okay, so now we're left with our 6 big tall pipe cleaners. And before I start working in those, I'm gonna just kind of open up the poofs a little bit. Just reach underneath and grab them and kind of separate them. Pulled that one out too much and lost my poof effect. Okay, so now it's looking nice and fluffy. And I thought about adding curls in between here. I've done that before. I've made them with curls. For some reason, when I was practicing today, though, I just decided that I thought the ribbons would lay better on top of cruffles. So I'm going to come into each of these 6 and put a cruffle. And I did keep one piece of mesh here to show you guys how I make my cruffles. And then I made the rest of them in advance so that it would go faster. If you are new to wreath making and don't know how to make cruffles or would like to see me do that repeatedly, I have other videos. Just leave me a comment and I could link those for you. Okay, so when I make my cruffle, I cut my mesh. This is 10 inches wide. I cut it to 18 inches long. And then I fold over here about a 1/2 inch. And then I just roll it. 2, 3, 4. I usually do 4 or 5 times. And then I always use a clip of some kind, a clothespin or a chip bag clip or something. It just helps me keep that, you know, so I'm not fumbling around, and keeps my curl nice and tight the way that I like them. And then I do the same process on the other end. Okay, now I'm going to turn my curls. Actually, let's do something different tonight. Most times I turn my curls face down and then cruffle. Tonight, I'm going to actually leave my curls face up. And you just scrunch down the middle, which gives you like your ruffle part of the cruffle. So you have curl and ruffle and curl. And this is what it looks like. And then I am going to just lay this straight down in between here and that big pipe cleaner. And give it a couple twists. I'm not going to close this off or anything yet because we're going to come back in here with some ribbons. Okay. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate the collars. So I'm going to use the cream next. Remember, I'm putting the curls face up this time. Saying that to remind myself as much as you. A couple times I went to do tutorials and meant to put them up and ended up putting them down just out of habit. Okay, so now we're going to do orange again. When you put your curls face up, you get more of the curl showing and less of the ruffle. If you turn them over, you'll end up with more of the ruffle effect showing. If you watch some of my other tutorials, like I said, I use cruffles on almost every design. You'll see what I'm talking about with when I put them face down, how you see more of the ruffle and less of the curl. Okay, so now we need to do a cream. What do you guys think of these collars together? I'm absolutely loving this color combination personally. I may be the only one. Kay, thank you so much for your question. I get 90%, 99% of my mesh from craftoutlet.com. And Craft Outlet will have these two meshes I'm using tonight. These two particular meshes I was explaining earlier, I got off of Amazon in a bundle because the mesh and all of my ribbons that I'm going to use tonight came in a bundle. But Craft Outlet has superb quality, and in my opinion, they have the best prices. They give you free shipping for over $69. And additionally, they have like a point system to where you can get discounts on your orders based on how much you spend. Like right now, I think I'm getting 10% off of all of my orders because the more you spend, the more points you get and the more of a discount you get. And their quality is unmatched. And I say that about everybody. Hobby Lobby, Michael's, like all the big name craft stores where we think of expensive, good quality product. Craft Outlet's mesh, now I'm not speaking about everything, but their mesh is superior to any other I've found. So I do highly recommend them for mesh. The only time I veer from that is like in this instance where I got a bundle deal on Amazon and I ended up paying like $2 a roll for this mesh. You know, I had to buy all the ribbons, and I think there were 6 ribbons and 5 rolls of mesh in each of the bundles I bought. And I've been searching for that deal or something even close to it just to get the same turkey ribbon, and I have not found it since. Okay. Oh, see guys, I knew I would do that. This is what it will look like if you put your curls face down, because I accidentally put one of them face down. This one's face up and this one is face down. I'm going to turn that around so it's consistent. I do face down so much, it is just habit. And I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. I started doing curls face down to better protect my cut edges, because I'm big on using techniques and methods that reduce fraying. Because I sell my wreaths, I don't want my mesh to fray. But if you fold everything in nice and tight and keep all your cut edges tucked in, which is why I make my curls so small, you don't have to worry about that. It'll be protected anyway, because it's the end is protected inside of the curl itself. Okay, so here's what we have so far. I think it is super cute. I'm loving the colors together. I love the orange and cream. Okay, and I know I talked about these once, but these are the ribbons that we're going to be using. We have this plaid, orange and brown plaid, which I always coordinate my ribbons to go with my sign. Or another way that I do my designs, I either pick a sign I absolutely love, which is the case with this one, and then match the ribbons to the sign. Or I find a ribbon that I absolutely love, and then I go find coordinating ribbons and a sign to match my ribbons. So that's the two ways I primarily pick my designs. We're going to also use this fall ribbon. This is the whole reason I bought that bundle, you guys. Let's be honest. That turkey ribbon is just adorable and hard to find. I can't find any other turkey ribbon. I'm trying. I wish I would have ordered all that they had, but you know, sometimes it's just not in the budget. And then we're going to use this leaf ribbon. And I'm going to do, I believe, 2 ribbons in each pipe cleaner. Okay, so let me figure out. I'm going to probably do the leaf behind the turkey. So the way I do when I pair 2 ribbons is I make an X in front of me on the table and just crisscross them, and then I just scrunch up the middle here and pull the 2 sides together and make like an X in my hand. And then I can just lay those straight down in my pipe cleaner, give them a good twist 3, 4 times. And now I'm not going to add anything else here. So I'm just going to go ahead and snip that off. And again, just like on the bottom, I'm going to fold that over, push it down, and then give it a good squeeze. I always say if you cannot pick up your wreath by the ribbons, they're not secure enough. That's kind of my own personal little test I came up with to make sure that my ribbons were secure enough. Okay, and so that's what those look like. And I laid those on top of the cream cruffle. Now I'm going to come over here where our orange cruffle is, and I'm going to crisscross the other 2, the plaid and the cinnamon. I mentioned earlier, if you guys want to make this wreath, I do sell the sign by itself, the ribbon bundle by itself, and the complete wreath kit, which will come with 1 roll of mesh and the sign mounts, pipe cleaners, everything you need to make a wreath comes with my complete kits. And I have all that in my Etsy shop that I will link in my description once this video uploads onto YouTube. And then once I put them in my pipe cleaners, I'm very particular about how my ribbons lay. So I come underneath here down next to the pipe cleaner and I push up to kind of arch those inside parts. And then I curl the ends out so they kind of frame around my mesh pieces. It's not required. It's just something that I've learned along the way over the years and decided that I really like my ribbons to lay like this. I like the cohesive look that it creates. Okay, and so there's our next set. I did not bring them to my craft table with me, but I'm thinking our turkey might have to have some little pumpkins around here. Next, we're going to go back to the turkey and the leaf. Now, another thing that you can do if you're not comfortable, if you're new to wreath making, you might not be comfortable doing both of these at the same time, the way that I'm doing them. You can just lay one in front of you, scrunch it in the middle, and then lay it in at whatever angle you want it to place. I'm doing the X. You could do horizontal, you could do vertical, you know, it's up to you. But I figured I'd show you this too for people who may not be comfortable doing two at a time. Then get your second ribbon. Do the same thing. And in this case, I want that X pattern. So I'm going to place the turkey right at the opposite. Now I've still got my X pattern, but I just did them one at a time. And that's easier for some people. I've just done them for so many years that I started just, you know, it was faster for me to do two at a time. Okay, you guys, I'm really liking this. I think it's cute. I'm glad that I decided to do something different with it. I'm really liking the way that it's coming together. Okay, now we need to do the sentiment and the plaid again. I've got way more ribbons here than I need. The other good thing about this design is it's going to be about 24 inches wide and it's going to be about 5 inches deep, but we're only using 12 ribbons. And oh, I did not mention my ribbons are cut to 12 inches long. So I don't recommend cutting your ribbons any shorter than 10 inches. When I first started out, I tried 10 inches and I'm just going to be completely honest. I felt like that was way too short. So then I increased it to 11 inches and did 11 for a while. And then I decided to try 12, and 12 is the length that I love. It's the one that I think is perfect. Now, you know, you can do longer, and lots of wreath makers do, or you can do shorter. When I first started out, I was on very limited budget, so I was trying to make my ribbons go as far as possible. So I would do 10-inch tails, and then I just thought that was too short, you know, but that wasn't somewhere I needed to cut costs. The ribbon is too important. Okay, so next is a turkey. Yeah, I had also kept a piece here to show you guys how I dovetail my ribbons. I did most of them in advance of the video, but basically when I dovetail, I just fold my ribbon and line up the wired side edges. And then I take my scissors and I'm going to cut from the folded side up at an angle towards the wired side. And then that gives us that nice inward V. Okay, and then I just turn it around and do the exact same thing on the other end, cutting from the folded to up to the wired edge. Now when I first started out, sometimes I would cut backwards and I would end up with a point on my ribbon. So be sure that you're cutting from your folded edge up towards, at an angle towards your wired edge. And then that way you'll get that V every time instead of a really funky looking point. Okay. Hello, Marilyn. How are you? Thank you for joining me. We're doing a really cute turkey design. I don't know how long you've been with me, but we did different methods tonight than I usually do. We did the poof method, and then I came on top with just 6 curls, or I'm sorry, cruffles. I actually did a crisscross poof method, which I think turned out really pretty. I have not done one of those in a long time, so I decided to switch it up tonight. And I think this was a good wreath to do that on. I'm really liking it. Okay, one more set of ribbons, you guys, and then we'll add our sign. Nope, I need the plaid. Yeah, so I have cut all kinds of pieces of ribbon here that we're not going to need, but that's okay because I make tons and tons of these wreaths. I'll probably, hopefully, sell quite a few of them, so I'll use up the ribbons. Okay, so again, for those of you who want to try the way that I do it, when I'm adding 2 at a time, I just do a crisscross X in front of me, scrunch up the middle, and then lay it straight down in the pipe cleaner. Twist 4 or 5 times, whatever feels secure to you. Cut that off, fold it over, push it down, and squeeze. And then just fan out your ribbons so they lay how you want. Okay, now let's see. We're going to add our sign. We already have our pipe cleaners and everything attached. So I'm going to pull this back over towards me a little bit, you guys. I may even have to stand up to make sure I get him centered. I think I will. Okay. So to add my sign, I'm just going to take the first pipe cleaner here, and I'm just going to try to work myself down underneath this mesh. Now this is going to be a little tricky because I haven't done this mesh method in a while, so I forget how I attached. Oh, okay, so I'm still able to go around the ring just fine. Okay, so I'm going to pull down on him slightly. Not too hard because I don't want him to mash all that beautiful mesh, and I also don't want to lose him down inside. I like my signs to kind of look like they're floating on top and part of the design. Okay. Now let's see if I got him too high. We might have to redo him. Sorry, I'm having a hard time finding the ring and getting around the underneath the mesh. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty centered to me. I think I'm going to pull that back up. I'm not sure yet. I may have to make some adjustments up there that is bothering me. But I think he looks pretty centered. I also will go around and pull out all the little ribbon tails because I don't like my ribbons, any of them, to be mashed down underneath. Okay, yeah, I think that looks pretty good. So just to show you guys what I'm doing under here, I'm going to go ahead and turn him over. And then I'm going around 2 of the rings with the pipe cleaners that's attached to the sign. And I'm going to twist them. I'm pulling down on him slightly, but not real hard, because like I said, I don't want to mash all this mesh that's in the middle, and I don't want him to sink clear to the back of my wreath. I like him to stay towards the top. And then I'm just going to twist it pretty much to the end. And then I always take the end of my pipe cleaner and push that up underneath, because they are wires and they're sharp and they could scratch your door or scratch you or your customer. Okay, yeah. I'm going to try to do some adjusting with this cruffle right here. See, I think I should have put this curl the way that I always do them, because now this like is sticking up here above his head and bugging me. You know what I might do, you guys? I might just turn it all the way around. What do you think about that? And then I'll just turn the ribbons back the way they go. And I'll see what I think of that. Like I said earlier, nothing that we can't fix. Which this isn't really a mistake. I just wasn't liking the way that mesh was kind of covering him up there. Okay, yeah, I think I like that better. Fix some of my other ribbons here. Yeah. Okay, so what do you guys think? Isn't he super cute? I will post a picture of the finished wreath on my Facebook page at Carla's Clever Crafts, all spelled with a K. But before I do, I am going to add 6 little pumpkins in each of these little pockets here where we added the ribbon tails. I think that will make the perfect finishing touch for this little guy. Okay, well, you guys, I greatly appreciate you joining me and hanging out with me this evening. Remember, I am live here on YouTube every Friday night at 7 p.m. And I am working on other tutorials to release throughout the week. So I hope you guys have a great evening, a great weekend, and I hope to see you soon.